District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.
To another edition of Nevada County Interviews, and I'm your host, Paul Minicucci. And tonight the subject of our show is a very festive one. It's the Italian Festival 2011, which is coming back here to Nevada County after a successful run last year. And I have three Italian guests with me, Stephen DeSena, I have Valentina Parkman, and Larry Mello, and we'll get to tell people what exactly you guys do in real life. But suffice to say, Stephen, you are the president of the Italian Cultural Foundation. Valentina, you serve on the board of directors, as well as Larry does. And I know, Larry, you've been overseeing the construction of bocce ball courts down at the in Penn Valley at Gateway Park. So we're going to talk all about that. And of course, food and wine and music, which is inimical to being Italian American. Right. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What I try to do for our viewers out there is to learn a little bit more about the guests. So, Stephen, tell me a little bit about, you're a real estate person in Penn Valley. You have a company, is that correct?
Well, we started here in 1967 with Alta Sierra. We were here for a year, then 3-year hiatus, and then bought property, moved up in 71. And we had Golden State Realty, and we had Remax Realty, and then we had Coldwell Banker First Professional Brokers. Then I sold that company out to my partners, and then I went on the road as a trainer, real estate trainer. So, so now we're back into selling real estate at ERA Cornerstone Realty, and my son's working with me, and we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to do. Now, you're originally from Brooklyn. You told me off camera.
Actually, born in Coney Island. Hospital, raised in Brooklyn. Then we went to upstate New York, a little town called Frankfort. It was 5,000 people, and out of the 5,000 people, I think 3,000 were from Italian heritage. Right. And out of that 3,000 people, there are like 1,800 of us, of the families were from Sicily. So it was very, very traditional. You could walk down the street and you could tell what everybody's going to be eating on any one day, because it was it was tradition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I myself grew up in New York, and with the same traditions. Valentina, tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
Right now I'm not employed. I've dedicated 100% of my time towards the festival to make it another success.
Great.
So that's what's keeping me busy.
And you were telling me you were born and raised in San Francisco.
I was. I come from a large Italian family where if you have 30 people show up for dinner, that's an intimate gathering. That's
right. And so I know Parkman isn't your maiden name. That's not Italian. But
no.
What is your maiden name?
Was Maffei. Yes, that's Toscana, northern Italy. And I still have family over there.
Oh, yes. Is that right?
Yes.
That's good. It's always good to keep up the, the connection. My grandparents were all born in different parts of Italy, but my father's family, the Minicuccis, come from Campobasso in Molise, so it's sort of above Rome and Naples, and we still keep in touch. In fact, if I can ever get over there, I could get like 2 months of free, hospitality. They just love Americans, and they hand you off to relatives. So now, Larry, you of course are the owner of Goomba's Restaurant,
right,
here in Grass Valley, in Nevada City.
Grass Valley.
Grass Valley, yes. I don't know where the dividing line is there, but it's a great hangout. If you haven't been down there, come down and see Larry. And you've been in business there for a couple of years?
A little over 2 years now.
Right. And Larry was telling me that you were happily running around the country in an RV when your family sort of brought you back to the business.
My kids brought me back and decided to build an Italian restaurant. So here we are 2.5 years later.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Oakland. Spent a lot of time in North Beach and San Francisco, but born and raised in Oakland, San Leandro area, East Bay.
And where in Italy did this Mello plant come
Sicily.
From Sicily.
Yeah. My father's actually from Portugal, and my mother was born in California, but her mother and father were from Sicily.
And I actually worked in the legislature for Senator Mello for many years.
Oh, really?
He was Portuguese and from the islands Azores.
Right.
All right. Well, last year you guys had the initial stab at this tiny little festa you were going to put on, and lo and behold, about 3,000 people showed up.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about last year's festival.
Well, last year's festival was it was really interesting. It all started. Hank DiPello and myself were sitting across the table, and we got to talking about the lack of the awareness of what the Italians had done here in Nevada County through the years. And we got to talking, and I was reminiscing about, upstate New York and the different festas we had and all of that. And I said, what we really need here is an Italian feast and a festival. And that's how it all started. And then we went to some chamber meetings, and people said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then we had people that none of us knew who are now on the board of directors, who we become friends with, and what have you. We never knew each other before we got started.
Right.
And it's an amalgamation of just people that really got behind this, and it surprised us as well the festival went. We ran out of food last year because the concessionaires got slammed. They didn't realize it.
Right.
I think Christopher sold 500 cannoli by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The first day, and he was sitting there, couldn't believe it. So this year, last year, it went together good. I had a lot of help from my gumbare down in Gilroy, Sambozzo, because he put on the Garlic Festival.
Right.
And his son put it on last year. So we went to Hank and I went to a conference for 3 days called CalFest. And there they showed us how to put on a festival. And some of it stuck and some of it worked. And we had a nice outline that was given to us by the 3 top paid members of the Garlic Festival, and we tried to follow that as close as we could.
Right.
But it was fantastic last year. The older Italians had tears in their eyes because they hadn't ever had anything like this here before. Right. And the music was good, and the bands were good, and the singing was good. We had the Italian dancers, the Rico dancers, and we had the Bambinis come up, and they actually drew the kids out of the crowd, and they were teaching them how to do the dances. And had the Dean Martin impersonator that everybody loved, and started raining on him, so he went into the tent, and everybody was gathered around there in the tent. Right. Had lots of wine, a lot of good food.
Sure was, yeah.
And all in all, it was very successful. I mean, it's we figured we had, actually we say 3, but we also know that 1,900 people came in with the free tickets that we gave to offset the parking costs.
Right.
So we figured, you got those 23, but you had 43, maybe 5,000 people.
Right. It looked like that to me when we were there shooting it. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go run a little 5 or 6 minute clip from the tape that we did last year, which is a little catch as catch can. We weren't sure what we were going to be facing this year. Hopefully we'll be taping with a little bit more intention.
Okay.
So let's run the tape, please. Minicucci, and we're here at the Nevada County Fairgrounds at the Italian American Festival. And right now we're going to learn a little bit about the Italian sport of bocce, how do you play it, and what's behind the allure. I'm Minicucci, and I'm Larry Gallo from Goomba's Italian Restaurant, which is one of my favorite hangouts. So Larry, tell me about bocce. What is the objective of this game?
Well, the objective is the first one to get to 11. And it's kind of like lawn bowling, shuffleboard, things like that. People throw the small ball, which is the Polino, and whoever gets closest gains points.
So part of the strategy is to get close, and part of the strategy is to knock your opponent off the small ball.
Exactly. We're going through the first round of 22 teams right now, and then we'll start the second round, which is a double elimination. So it should go all through the afternoon. It takes approximately 45 minutes to play a game. The game is to 11. You have to win by 2.
Okay, and now we have referees here, and so I noticed they call in some shots legal and some shots not legal. What constitutes an illegal shot?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they have a line, right? You have to be behind.
Yeah, you have to be behind the green line to throw. You have to go past the center line, which is red. Red and green most of the time.
Yes.
And that's pretty much about it.
Now, when I was growing up back east, very Italian-American neighborhood, I used to go watch at the Italian-American Club the bocce ball tournaments, and they were populated by very suave 70-year-old men in silk pants and Italian sandals, and they
Wearing little hats and big cigars.
Yeah, the little perotis, and smelling up the place. And they would get into the most ferocious arguments about who was closest to the ball. And they had all these sticks. They would have these, but they didn't use a tape measure, at least when I was growing up. Is that part of the fun of the game, is to sort of kibitz and argue about who's closer?
Very much so. As the day goes on, as the day goes on, you will see it get more and more serious. Some of the people have been here since Monday trying to practice while we're building the courts. So that's pretty much about it. I'm very happy with the turnout we had. We had 3 or 4 teams that couldn't make it. So
now, most of these people here Italians that you know, or are there non-Italians who just happen to play the sport?
a lot of different. Bocce is the #1 growing sport in the world right now.
Is that right?
Yes, it is. And we're going to get better and better as we go. We hope to have a few more tournaments and move it to the indoors this winter and keep it going.
Now, bocce is always played on this as even a sand surface as possible, is that right?
Well,
Or is it can be played on grass?
So to spread upon my skin. Yellow melting away. I'll make a plan, a new start of it. There you go. Can't make it. I'm gonna make it.
You could use one of our 3 award-winning extra virgins for that, or we have a garlic olive oil and a crushed Meyer lemon, a crushed blood orange olive oil. You can use them all equally the same way.
Now, I'm going to take a little shot of these olive oils. Can you point out to me what's the difference between these that you have in front of you? Some folks, and let's ask you folks, where are you from?
We're from Alta Sierra.
And who at the table is Italian? Yeah? Great.
No, he's not.
That's my name.
Huh?
Ends in a vowel. That's Italian.
There you go. Well, it costs $10 for a vowel. So this is the first annual event here. What do you guys expect from it?
What do we expect from him?
Yeah, what are you looking for here?
Yeah. Recording.
So great. Relive a little bit of last year. So who's coming back this year? Is the accordion player going to be back?
Oh, the accordion player will be back, the great Magani, and Frank Ritchie will be back.
Oh, good.
And the Dean Martin impersonator will be back. Italica will be back.
Right.
The Rico Dancers will be back. The Bambinis will be back. We're bringing in the Don Giovanni Band.
Tell us about that.
Well, they're a great band. They've played in the San Jose festivals and what have you, and up in North Beach. And we didn't have a band for Sunday, last year. So this one we have a band for Sunday. We're going to have meatball eating contests.
Uh-huh.
And then I just got an email today that we're going to have a grape stomping contest also.
Well, that'll be fun.
And so that'll be fun. And we're going to have Sam Bozzo is going to come up from Gilroy with his partner. They're going to have the Sacco Bozzo, Any Bozo Can Cook demonstration. And we have Sergio Faccio is going to do a cooking demonstration also. So, and we're going to have a tribute to the armed forces at the very opening of the festival at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. So,
A full couple of days.
Oh, yeah, it's full days. And you're going to have to buy tickets for both days because we're going to have 17 different food vendors. And there's no way you got to eat 8 of them one week, one day, and maybe 9 the second day.
Exactly.
And then just go on a diet the third day.
Don't want to run out of cannolis.
No, we're not going to run out of cannoli this year. They're ready. The
But now,
vendors are
being
ready.
an Italian American, like I said, it's about making love, making music, drinking wine, eating, and having a good time.
Exactly.
And a big part of being an Italian is being involved in music. So we've asked a couple of our musicians here, Adam Heilbrunn, who is a multi-talented musician now and plays about 10 instruments, literally. And we have a gentleman here, Gary Hines, who some people have identified as Claude Headgate. I won't tell you whether or not Claude is the mystery man is actually Gary Hines, but they do tend to have some resemblance. So, guys, we're going to play a little Italian music. Take it away. Yay. Thank you very much. We thought it'd be fun to spice up the show with a little live music. So, Valentina, what is it that you specialize in with you're spending all your time on this event? Tell us what parts of it, what do you like best about this?
Well, coming from a big Italian family, I just like that everybody can be Italian for the weekend.
Yeah.
And just to see the county come together and enjoy the Italian way of having fun it's great. It's great.
It is.
I got involved with the children's area. Last year we had a really good time with the kids. They loved the mini bocce ball court that my husband built. And I'm happy to say this year we have 2 new courts, so we'll have a total of 3 courts for the kids to play on.
Great.
And in addition to entertainment, we're going to have gondola races. We made little tiny gondolas that will go around the kids' waist, and they will have a race.
Good. Well, I remind people, as you can see here, that the dates, keep the dates, 17th and 18th of September at Gateway Park in Penn Valley. Why did we change from the fairgrounds?
Well, basically, we needed more room, and we needed a substantial stage.
Yes.
And we wanted something that the people is more people friendly. The grounds where we were last year were nice, but the older people had problems.
Right.
And
so a little hillier.
A little hillier and a little
dustier
rougher
and
what
yeah.
have it, dusty. So The Penn Valley Gateway Park has more of an open feeling. It's more like a Toscana feeling with some trees, but meadow and what have you. And it's got a fantastic 3,500 square foot stage.
Yes, it does.
And so the entertainers will be real happy with that.
Right. And then, of course, the big addition there at Gateway Park is the bocce courts. I see getting built when I go play softball there. Tell us about that, Larry.
Well, when we left the fairgrounds, we had to eliminate the bocce ball courts that we built there. So when we made an agreement with Western Gateway Park, part of the agreement was to put in permanent courts. So then we had to find people that would donate their time and their money and their different products to build the courts. So we're in the process right now of building 6 permanent courts that we can do national and international events on.
Right. Tell us a little bit about bocce here in Nevada County. We have clubs and teams. And
well, there's clubs. There's a club in Wildwood. There's a club in Lake of the Pines. Nevada City, I think, has a bocce ball club. So we're trying to get all these clubs together. We've went out of the area looking for more people. We hope to have 36 teams this year.
Wow.
And if we get 36 teams, we've had people from Antioch, Pittsburgh, Monterey, San Francisco, all over Northern California interested. So once we get this through and get the courts completed, we'll have more tournaments throughout the year.
Right.
Courts will be there permanently. They'll be for everyone's use. And we hope to start leagues and really get the festive part of it going.
You know, I read last year when I was doing some research on it, bocce is actually one of the fastest growing sports in America. What do you think accounts for that? Why are people so interested in bocce?
Well, you can put a court in your backyard, or you can play bocce on the beach, or you can play in a lawned area. Mm-hmm. There's many different ways to substantiate a bocce court. The rules change or are pretty flexible.
Right.
But there's a lot of people in Nevada County right now that are putting courts in their own backyard.
Right.
So it's a good family sport.
Right.
You can play it at 2 years old, and you can play it at 102.
Right.
The 6 courts that we're building in Western Gateway Park will be all handicap accessible, so people can go out there in wheelchairs or anything else, and that's going to be a big draw also.
Yeah, and I like bocce when you grow up in an Italian. Bocce's ever present, and the Italian American Club had a bunch of courts, and I used to, as a little kid, go up there, and it was something really interesting about having the 70 or 80-year-old guys from Italy, as they say, always smoking the little crooks and arguing incessantly over,
right.
And kibitzing, and yeah, exactly, and I really thought that part of the game is all of that stuff that goes along with it.
Right.
I mean, nobody takes it too seriously, although they take it very seriously at times.
Right. Well, they say bocce takes 5 minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master.
That's a good saying.
So,
yes. Well, that's a great addition. I know that a lot of non-Italians, gravitate toward it and feel like they can do something, truly Italian,
right.
Playing bocce. And so, Valentina, tell us a little bit about. There's going to be 19 food vendors.
They're going to be, I think it's 17 food vendors and 8 just vendors bringing in Italian goods. We're working on the last one. We're hoping to get some Murano glass in here from the island, Isle of Murano, but that's up in the air right now. But we've got a lot of things that are just connected with being Italian.
What kind of? Who are some of the food vendors, Valentina?
We have the old 5 Mile House, of course, Goombas, Cane's, the grill down in Penn Valley, Oh my gosh, I was just typing it up today. There's
Yeah.
quite a few of them.
Right. And again, cooking and family meals are part of being Italian. I have I had a short story that I had published a couple of years ago about Thanksgiving in an Italian family and that was like. And my first wife didn't believe me when I told her that now when you come to a time with Thanksgiving or Christmas, you're going to get the pasta, get the antipasta, and you get a pasta meal, and then just when you think you can't eat anymore, out comes the first turkey, and then you might even get a roast thrown in there,
Absolutely.
and then you get dessert, and then you'll get the cold cuts at the end of the night, and by 10 o'clock you're off, and everybody's lying around, can't move, and joking and laughing, and food's just a huge part of being Italian.
Yes, it
And,
definitely is.
I learned from my grandmother, who was sort of a celebrity in our neighborhood. Everybody wanted Grandma Lena to cook for them when they had a wedding or an event. So I learned how to do all that stuff and make my own ravioli and all that. So, yeah, come on down to the Italian Festival, 17th and 18th of September, Gateway Park in Penn Valley, if you want to get... I'm going to try each and every one of the vendors. Start at one end and eat my way to the end.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll have
You
a
can
treat.
also get in the meatball eating contest.
I could. That's fascinating. What kind of meatballs are we going to be eating?
The meatballs will come from Goombas.
Yeah,
They're my son-in-law's grandmother's recipe,
yeah.
and I think the fella that won last year ate six, maybe.
Six.
Six.
Well, I can
Hold
do
on.
that for. Oh, they're big. Yeah, I know.
They're pretty big.
Yeah, my grandmother used to make big ones with a little veal, a little pork, a little
Right.
beef,
Right.
and some fresh herbs and onions and garlic and so forth. And boy,
Oh, yeah.
they were good. There's something about how she made them. I can't quite get that good.
Well, you got to fry them.
Yeah, you do.
You got to
Absolutely.
fry them. You got to close
get
them
that
up and
little
fry 'em,
glaze on
and then
it.
bake them.
That's right.
Or just if you really get to, just fry them all the way
Yeah,
through.
exactly.
It's good.
It's nothing like meatballs.
And sometimes when you're cooking them, there's even some left.
There is, yeah. And the best part about cooking an Italian meal is you get to sample the wine from the start.
That's
and
right.
3 hours later, you're just feeling a lot better about
That's right.
yourself. Yeah.
That's right.
So I want to break away, and we're going to play a second tune here. Our Ersatz Italian band, Adam Halbrun and Gary Hines.
Quando mamma tette fatta, quando mamma tette fatta, mi vedi come facesse, mi vedi come facesse. Ha già fatta piccerella, ha già fatta piccerella, tutto fiori al calore mille. Lupanara, mura, ci vedremo nei giardini. Come t'è fatta mamma, sa come t'è fatta te. Quando mamma t'è fatta, quando mamma t'è fatta. Mi vedi come facesse, mi vedi come facesse. Ha già fatta piccerella, ha già fatta piccerella. Tutti fiori al calore mille. Lupanara, mura, ci vedremo nei giardini. Come t'ha fatta mamma, tata, mo t'ha fatta te.
Great. I think we should elect these guys as honorary Italians. What do you think? Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. So, Larry brought us some food from Goombas, and we have on the table, tell us what we got, a little Parmesan?
Meatball Parmesan, yes.
And so this is the same meatballs that you would make? And
This is an appetizer.
uh-huh. And is this on the menu every night?
It's on the menu every night.
Yeah, I wish we could pass around the... do you want to see it? You're going to have to try to... Can you get a good look at that? Smells wonderful. I'm surprised I haven't eaten it all completely while the guys are singing, So is this going to be something that we could get at the festa?
Yes.
Good. You guys got so many great dishes down there. I don't even know where to begin, but we certainly love it. And so what we've got is also we got a pizza, and this is by the way my pal who sits in the kitchen and helps me out, and he sings to me, and you're going to help me. We can put up this and get a look at that. So what kind of pizza is this?
That is the Italian combo.
Uh-huh. And what's on Italian combo?
Italian combo has red peppers, onions, olives, sausage, black pepper tomato sauce, cheese.
It's great. It's and this is kind of a New York style pizza.
Well, it's actually not a New York style pizza. It's our style.
It's your style, yeah. Well, it's not. It doesn't look like the deep dish. No. But I happen to be partial to the thinner crust New York style and the Chicago style.
Well,
but
he makes the thin Neapolitan pizza.
Yes.
You can't believe it. I was giving him a hard time one night, and he says, "Sit down." So I sat down there, and he brought me a slice, one of those slices, and I ate that, and I says, forget about everything I said. This is great pizza. I thought I was in upstate. I thought I was in New York again.
Yeah.
It's thin but not crispy.
Yeah, exactly.
You fold it and eat it.
yeah, and you just got to know how to make the dough, otherwise it.
Yeah.
That's the secret to
It
pizza
is,
the
yeah.
dough.
That's right.
I mean, the sauce too, but
Right.
Yeah.
it's really good.
Now, of course, growing up Italian, my father, I was the fortunate or unfortunate member of the family who had to tend the garden. And being an Italian, you have to have a garden that's big enough to, you could serve most of New Jersey from the food we grew.
Yeah.
And I said, Dad, do we really need 60 tomato plants?
Yeah.
I had 30 pepper plants. We had
30
different,
pepper plants, yeah.
different kinds of peppers, tomatoes, and we'd have these big bushels. And everybody in my neighborhood was Italian. They had their own garden. So, I would bring stuff over to the neighbors. They'd bring stuff back to us. And, but it was all good, having all that fresh stuff. And really ruins you forever because there's nothing like growing your own vegetables, getting fresh green beans that really snap or eating a fresh tomato off the vine,
Well, when you drive up to our house, how most people have big, beautiful flowers. Well, as you walk up to the front of the driveway, there's 5 tomato plants, and there's one that's threatening to take over the entry to get into the house. and I got tomatoes on it like this, and
Yeah.
we have a fig tree that my grandfather started in 1942 in New York.
Wow.
And when they were going to sell the house about 10 years ago, I took 5 or 6 of the roots of it, put them in mailing tubes, wrapped them in wet towels, and brought them on the plane. And brought them here and planted them. So my grandkids are out there eating the black
if you've
fig.
never seen a fig tree, they grow like crazy, and before you know it, they take over the great shade areas. The kids love to play in them because they're got little branches and little hideaways and stuff. And the figs, of course, are wonderful.
Oh, sure.
Did you grow up with growing vegetables? You were a city girl.
I was the city girl who had family all up in Antioch and Oakley. So every summer they shipped out all the cousins to go help on the farms.
Right.
So I learned how to can and pick and all that.
Yeah.
It was good. It's a good learning experience.
Yeah. So what's your favorite Italian food?
Favorite Italian food? A good sauce.
Uh-huh.
And I like the eggplant parmesan and the different eggplant dishes. Mm-hmm. I was surprised when we went to Italy a couple of years ago how much eggplant they use in their sauces and everything. And I found out there's not just one sauce; there's like 400 different ones. So, but whatever is growing in the garden is in the sauce. But I like the sauce. I like the good pastas, the eggplant. I like the meat dishes, the brojol and things like that.
Yeah. Haven't heard brojol in a long time. Bringing back memories.
Yeah.
And of course, when you do real Italian, at least the way my grandmother did, you get the tomatoes that are as ripe as they could possibly be, and you skin them and put them in a food mill and mill it down so you get nothing but the best pulp. And,
That's right.
And there's something so sweet about, homemade Italian tomato sauce that you can't get in the store.
No.
So, So, Larry, you're a professional in the food stuff. What's your favorite dish?
I like pizza.
Yeah.
I like all different pizzas. We have a shrimp carbonara that has shrimp and bacon, and it's on a creamy garlic sauce, to a traditional pizza.
Now, Americans are pretty daring with what they put on pizza, right?
Oh,
I mean, a lot of
yeah.
Italians. My father thought it was scandalous that we would have pizzas with ham and pineapple on it.
Right, right.
That's not pizza. You know?
Yeah.
So, well, you got to roll with the times, Pop.
We get some pretty crazy orders.
Yeah. And so, how is our pizza different than Italian pizzas? Do you know? Or?
Well, most of the Italian pizzas in Italy are just sauce and cheese.
Yeah.
You know, they don't put much on them. I think the Americans just kind of
Right.
put them all together.
Yeah, and American pizza is really sort of a foodstuff, unto itself.
Right.
And I guess, a lot of, lists of America's favorite foods, pizza always comes out in the top 2 or 3.
Pizza's getting up there, yeah.
Yep.
What do you like best?
Well, mine's a toss-up. I like gnocchi,
Yeah.
which is like a little potato dumpling.
Right.
But I really have a passion for risotto, which is a rice dish, and I usually like it with mushrooms, which is fungi.
Yes, fungi, yeah.
And a lot of Parmesan. I love the cheese. The stinkier, the better.
Right. And my daughter, who is only half Italian, but she loves everything Italian. And she actually is the food and wine buyer for San Francisco Whole Foods. So she gets courted by. I get best cheese, stuff I've never heard of.
Right.
But it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
So that's part of being Italian is of course eating. So now we've got music at the festival.
Yep.
Now Frank Ritchie was last year. He was very, very good. I enjoyed him a lot. He had pizzazz. He's got that Las Vegas kind of style.
Well, he used to do a lot of opening for Las Vegas stars.
Yeah.
I mean, going way back. Tom Jones and all those guys. And
Yeah.
He was that warm-up show.
Right.
And I've known him for over 20 years. He used to work for me as a real estate salesman.
Now, is that right?
20 years ago. And then he said, I'm going back into the music and entertainment. So that's what he does. And he's good.
Yeah,
He
it's got
can
a
put
great
together a
voice.
whole thing for you if you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. He really did have great range, and I just like the showmanship. It was fun. Interacting. The little old ladies just loved him.
Oh yeah,
And,
him and Dean Martin, the impersonator. The women just were crazy for him.
Yeah. I was when I was walking around the festival and I was shooting people. I was truly amazed by how many non-Italians showed up to the festival. Who said they I just wanted to be Italian. For a couple of days, figure out how that feels.
Well, the food it is a culture that is really embracing, and it's a warm culture, and it's a passionate culture, and it is a giving culture. And around food, my friends when they used to come over for breakfast, they'd say, your mom wanted us to get fat like you, Steve. She said, because they'd have breakfast and she'd make them another breakfast.
Right,
you can't, and then you'd come home and you had lunch and you had to have, everything. And there was always food cooking, and the kitchen was always warm.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's always some kind of food going in. Back then we canned the tomatoes, we canned the corn. We did a lot of that in upstate New York. My grandfather raised 7 children on a 13-acre truck farm. So about planting the cabbage and the strawberries and the raspberries and all that, and then getting up, picking them, and then going to the market in the morning, pulling your truck in, opening up the back doors, and then all of the people that ran all the markets would come and they would buy right out of there. So it was quite an experience.
Yeah, and I think people out here in California don't have a really good sense of how agricultural parts of New York and New Jersey are. The Garden State, and of course New York grows. Is right up there as one of the top 4 or 5 states in terms of growing fruits and vegetables, and so there are little farms up and down the state.
Oh yeah, the Herkimer County was the second highest producing milk county, you know, other than California. This was back in the 50s when I was there.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of dairy farmers, a lot of Italian, a lot of Portuguese, even back there, Portuguese dairymen, and it's a great life. We have a class that graduated in 1957. There were 52 people in the class. 48 of them are still with us. And they have a fish fry once a year to bring, which is something which is an Eastern phenomena.
Right.
And they called me, they wanted me to go. I can't make it this year, but they had 36 people out of that 52
Wow.
come to that. So they're tight.
Amazing.
They're tight, and they're not. And
Right.
even my buddy Homer used to say, well, "How did your wife learn how to cook Italian?" He says, "If you live in Frankfurt, you get Italian by osmosis."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I grew up in a little town in called West Harrison or Silver Lake, and it was 80% Italian, and we had maybe 50% Jewish, and there was a couple of blonde-haired kids. We didn't know where they came from. But one of when I grew up, my grandmother she had these delivery guys. So she had a fish guy, she had a vegetable guy, she had a meat guy, Bova, the meat guy. I remember this guy had a panel truck and a big butcher block in his truck. And he'd roll up, and my grandmother, and he'd talk in Italian, which I never learned to speak, unfortunately. But that was part of the culture too. Was going to the market every day, or having somebody come, to your house. It's a little different than what we do here in the supermarkets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you go through Brooklyn, and when you're in the Italian section, because they have the pork store, they have this store, it's all individual, and the deli, and then the pastry shop, and then you go into the Jewish section, and that just by the foods that they had there, and the Assyrian section and what have you, and it was just they have a store for each individual specialty,
Right.
and it's an interesting phenomenon.
So how many of you guys make cannoli? Yeah, is anybody you make cannoli?
We make it, yeah. We've got. My cousin was in the opera back in New York, and he was a good friend with Ferrari, and he got the recipe from them. And that's one we use for the cream and everything for inside,
right.
Yeah, the ricotta and what have you.
Right. That's the fight. How much mascarpone, how much cream, how much ricotta you put in there.
Yeah, it changes the whole blend.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm partial to putting in little chocolate chips.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went back to visit my daughter, who's a fantastic chef, and she learned in Federal Hill in Rhode Island. She learned how to do pastry chefs there, and so I went back there and I brought home on 2 planes this big roll of cannolis. Was in a plastic thing, and I had to change ice at each airport, to keep it fresh and cold. But there's nothing like fresh cannolis.
Nope.
So again, we'll have cannolis, won't we?
Definitely have cannolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told Christopher to really crank
we should
up
have
the cannoli.
they got the chili cook-offs. We should have a cannoli contest or something
Cannoli,
next year.
Well, it's
People
amazing.
bring in their cannoli.
It's amazing how many different creams. I didn't realize, we were stuck with this. I had the Sicilian ones, but we went into Boston and they had like 20 different creams in them. I said, wow, this was amazing,
Right. Yeah, and cheeses and cream can really vary. So we talked about the bocce. We've got music. What other cultural events are going to happen at the festival? You have some dancing?
The Rico dancers are coming in. They're the adult dancers that do the old Italian dances. Mm-hmm. And then we have the Bambinis, who are the little children. They're coming up from Sacramento again. And they're very engaging because last year they brought the kids right out of the crowd, brought them up on the stage or in front of the stage,
right.
and did the dancing right there with them. And
right.
they're a big hit. The kids loved them.
Yeah, the kids really do.
Yeah. And the parents loved seeing the kids getting involved. And
what other kid stuff do we have, Valentina?
Well, we have a lot of games for the kids. Lots of activities. We got 2 bounce houses, and we got a gal who's going to come and do face painting. Mm-hmm. And we have our little color crayon tent where they can get bubbles and candy. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to mention our cultural tent. Last year we had a cultural tent. Mm-hmm. I interviewed 17 old-time Nevada County families, and it was great. These people didn't know me. They welcomed me into their homes. They tell me their life stories. It was wonderful. So I've added another 4 families, and we'll have a wall of families so people can go into our cultural tent and read about old-time Italian Nevada County families. And we have couple, Despotos, who do genealogy, so people can walk up and find out about their families.
Right. And who are some of the? Tell me some stories about Nevada County Italians.
Well, Chick Ciccone, him and his wife Sue are longtime Nevada County residents, and they're in their late 90s. And I went to their house to get some information, and they look great. They look great. And he goes, "Oh, I think I need you to call this family." And he proceeds to go get a phone book, throws the phone book on the kitchen table without any glasses on, and reads out the phone number.
Wow.
I was like, "Chick, what are you reading?"
How did you do that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of pride, a lot of civic duty. There's a lot of people that did a lot of civic duty in our county. So I encourage everybody to come and read about the families. They'll be amazed. They'll be amazed.
And then I know another popular thing was the trip to Italy. You take a raffle. Or
Yeah, we're doing that again this year. We've got a 2-week trip to Italy, $5,000 value. We'll be selling tickets for that. And
right. And what people should know is it's not an actual trip. You get to choose your trip.
That's right. It's adventure travel is putting that. Jan over there is putting that together for us.
And who was the last year's winner? Where'd they go? Do you know?
The last year's winners were happened to be driving by on their motorcycle. They're locals, and they said, "Let's do Italian." They came in. I think they bought 5 or 6 tickets, and after we returned that drum about 10 or 15 different times, with smaller prizes, and they won.
Yeah.
So I don't know, when are they leaving?
They've left. I actually have in our Nevada County newsletter that's coming out the 1st of September, I do a little article, and there's a picture of the couple that won. It's a picture of them in a gondola.
Mm-hmm.
They left late June. They took the trip.
And so
they're back.
To Venice,
they want to go,
Florence?
they loved it. Dave said that he wants to go back and go stay in Cinque Terre, which is in northern Italy, and he wants to stay in one place and basically live the Italian life.
Yeah.
So he loved it. He loved it.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the other activities of the Italian American Cultural Organization that we have other than the festival. What else?
Well, right now, we put our main emphasis on the festival because we're still new at it.
Yeah.
And next year should go even smoother than this year. But we have movies every Monday, once a month. Italian movies with subtitles, and then they have a conversation around the movie. Stefano Woods, who was a professor there in Italy for years, he runs that whole thing, and it's over at the Holiday Inn Express, and we take a room there, and I believe it's like $15 a couple. You get a pizza and a drink of wine or beer, whatever you want to drink, and it's just a lot of fun. What we're trying to do is once we get this thing rolling, we're going to have scholarships for people that want to go maybe study in Italy. Somebody has intentions to learn Italian. We plan to have Italian lessons. In fact, we're having them right now at various homes. We're having Italian lessons, and just bring people into idea about the Italian culture. Just let them know that everybody isn't, the Italians aren't all like the Sopranos. It's 99.99% of them are just hardworking people that love their families, and they just revel in watching the families grow and become successful.
Yeah, and I think growing up Italian American, of course, can't speak for other people, but there is something I think special about how Italians feel about their heritage. I mean. I know my family tree all the way back to 1500.
Yep.
And just being able to revel in the fact that you have very strong cultural elements. My family, we used to say we're not rich, but we are rich in culture. We'd take trips to the opera down in New York City. Once a year, my aunts would take me down there, and I loved it even as a little kid. I just thought it was amazing. But you're very sure of being the cultural identity that you have, and
it's amazing how everything goes together. With that culture, it's it's a combination of the food, it's the love of their children, You know, they love their children. They're the most important things in the world to them. And it's hard to explain. If you're not Italian, you know, it's hard to understand what it is. It just comes together. And this is what was so interesting at the festival. You could feel it.
Yeah.
At the festival, you could feel it. It was something. It was palpable. It was there. The old people were there. The young people joined with the older people. The music was there, and it was like we had just been transported out to someplace else. And that's what we're trying to do with the festival. Just, you know, for 2 days, just remove themselves from the cares and the worries and what's happening all around us, and just say, this is time to, you know, live the dolce vita, the sweet life, you know, to have a good meal, have some good wine, watch the entertainment, and just kick back and relax without the rush that we usually do. Just
Which
take
is,
it easy.
it is at odds with a lot of modern life in America. You know, I mean, you don't get the opportunity to.
It's not that you don't we don't take it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a friend of mine say, you know, I'm going to go to Italy. I like their lifestyle. I said, well, why don't you come over for lunch today? Well, I'm busy. I said, that's your problem. You know, I said, you're busy. I said, why don't you come over for lunch? So we sat there and we had a little bit of lunch, and then we had the cheese, and then we had the fresh fruit, and we had the wine, and I strung it out to a 2-hour lunch that way. And we talked about his trips to Italy and his trips and the business he was in. And I'd met him about 25 years ago when I was teaching at the college, and I watched his progress of what he did. And then I said, okay, I says, you just had an Italian lunch. I said, you do not have to fly 14 hours to kick back and relax. It's a state of mind.
Right.
You know, you got the fresh mozzarella, and you got the fresh basil, and you've got the, you know, it's the magic of the foods and the attitudes.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely true. I mean, a lot of people ask about, you know, where do you get your recipes? Because I do cook and entertain people. And I said, it's all based on what my grandmother taught me. I don't have recipes exactly. You know, I just remember all her principles. And the main one is have fun and don't be afraid in the kitchen. You know,
right.
You just experiment and, you know, wonder what this tastes like. You know, throw some basil in the ice cream. You know, see what that's like.
Well, you know, it's funny when my wife was learning how to cook from my mom never used a measuring cup. Whatever cup she had, she used.
Yeah,
and there my wife, the German part of her, she would sit there, and when she'd take that cup and put it into a measuring cup to figure out how much it was.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's that Heinz Feinz 1, 2, 3, you know.
Right.
And the Italians are just throwing stuff in and like that.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it is different, you know.
Oh, it never comes out the same.
Yeah, it never comes out quite the same. So
I made some camatine the other day with the eggplant and the celery and the vinegar and the sugar, and I forgot the recipe. You know, I thought this looks about right. When we ate it tastes great.
Yeah,
tastes great.
Now, being close to Sacramento, you guys ever get down to Cordy Brothers and?
Yeah.
You know, if
we got some good food there.
People up here have not ever. It's a cultural experience to go down to Cordy Brothers down in Sacramento, and they have a section on olive oils. You get 80, 90 different olive oils.
That's right.
You know, you can't imagine how many. And the meat and vegetables they get is just primo. You know, so in fact, I was in there one time and I was looking at panettone, and I was trying to figure out a dessert. And Daryl Cordy said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm looking for a really interesting dessert. And so he stopped what he was doing and said, this is the kind of liqueur you need. Here, take the panettone, you cut it this way, and here's the peaches you got to put in, and then the cream. This is how you make it. And, you know, 40 minutes later, I'm taking notes from Daryl Cordy, who, of course, is famous for his palate as being the best wine taster in America. He was the wine sommelier for Reagan administration.
That's right.
And you know, Daryl's just one of those guys who takes wine very, very seriously.
That's right.
But he's really free with the advice, and you know, they have stuff you can't even imagine.
Well, you know, talking about wine, Larry is you know, handling the wine as well as the bocce, and we're going to have a wide variety of the Italian wines again this year.
Oh, great!
All imported wine. We're going to have some of the local wineries have said they want to be part of it, and we've had some distributors to say, well, we want the people to know about the imported wine. So we're going to have that there too. The Nevada County Association of Realtors donated 2,000 glasses to us.
Wow.
We ran out last year. We had 1,140.
Yeah.
So this year we hope maybe we'll run out again with the
Yeah,
2,000. Yeah, maybe we'll need 2,500 next year.
Plus,
but-
each bocce team gets a jug of wine.
yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Gotta have a
the,
little wine.
yeah, and the parking is free this year.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a big issue.
Parking is free.
Yeah.
We figure we can park maybe 800 cars over there to 1,000 on site, and then the Penn Valley Rodeo has been kind enough to give us the rodeo grounds, and I believe, and we're still working on that, I believe the Little League is going to park their cars there, and it'll just be a donation to them.
Oh, great.
So we're getting a lot of help from a lot of people with the parking and what have you. And,
Yeah.
you know,
So you're planning for what, 4,000 or 5,000 again, like last year? Maybe more?
Probably more.
Yeah.
More like 6 to 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, needless to say that, you know, I was very surprised by the fact that, you know, you got so many people with so little advertising, basically, last year, particularly. I mean, it just seemed to grow, you know, word of mouth. I mean,
Yeah. Well, the union did a great job for us, and KNCO did a great job
Yeah,
for us,
yeah.
and this show did a lot for us. And we were lucky we got on the scoreboard, and we are again at the athletics and the A's. We got 7 shots a night on
Right.
that for the Italian festival, and you
Yeah.
know, so it's coming from all over. People were ready for it.
yes.
People
Yeah,
were ready for it.
They really were the excitement, and as you
Yeah.
said, the ambiance was just absolutely great. So what we're going to do is we're about out of time. So thank you, Steve, Valentina, and Larry. We're going to go out with a little Italian music. Thank you to the crew. Come to the festival, 17th and 18th of September. This is Paul Minicucci saying bye-bye till next time.